Join our social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram
Flow of God's own state
at Flow 949 FM. And now, introducing our YouTube channel, Flow 949 FM. Flow 949 FM. Watch us live as we bring you trending news, politics, and lots of entertainment content. All you have to do is go to YouTube, type Flow 949 FM, click on the subscribe button, share, and do not forget to click on the bell icon. Flow 94.9 FM, the flow of God's own state.
94.9 FM, the flow of God's own state. Good evening and thanks for joining us. My name is Chimdindu Chambers. The headlines. Ebonyi State traditional rulers endorse President Buhari. Appeal Court rejects Justice Onohen's request to stop his trial at Code of Conduct Tribunal. INEC holds interactive session with persons living with disabilities in Abia State. And on the foreign scene, Venezuela's president rejects call for fresh elections. Details shortly. We begin this evening by letting you know that the Ebonyi Council of Traditional Rulers says President Muhammadu Buhari would get the support of many voters in the state at the February 16th presidential election. The traditional rulers also endorsed the state governor, David Umahi, for his second term. The chairman of Traditional Rulers Council, Charles Mbuma, said Buhari is loved by the people of the state because of the robust relationship he has with Umahi, despite the two being in different political parties. He gave the assurance during an audience with the president at the Ebonyi State Government House in Abakaliki. President Muhammadu Buhari says that reliable power supply was critical to promoting ease of doing business to ensure sustainable and improved Nigerian economy. Buhari, who spoke while commissioning the Ariara Market Independent Power Project in Aba, said the provision of a dedicated power supply to small businesses in the area will strengthen the Made in Nigeria program of the federal government, of which Abia had become synonymous with. He said the project was a demonstration of the federal government's resolve to protect the interests of every Nigerian, irrespective of party difference and constitutional limitations.
We are doing the roads now. We are doing the railway. And we are doing power, and it's one of the projects that I came to commission here today. I assure you of what I believe, that if we get the infrastructure correct, the road, the rail, power, Nigerians will mind their own businesses. They wouldn't even care who is in the government. We have identified this, and we are committing available resources to get the infrastructure right, and we are doing as much as possible to secure the country.
In another development, President Muhammadu Buhari is advising members of the All Progressives Congress APC in Imo to eschew all forms of intra- and inter-party rancor and ensure a peaceful election. Speaking at the presidential rally of the All Progressives Congress in Imo State, President Buhari explained that regardless of party, ethnicity or religion, they should vote for who they want.
I want you to please maintain your balance. Your senses. Don't allow intra or inter-party to remove your senses of responsibility. Your vote is your vote. Choose whoever you like across party and ethnicity and religion. I thank you very much.
APC National Chairman Adam Soshimole says President Muhammadu Buhari's administration has identified with the poor more than any other Nigerian leader in the past. Speaking in Aba, Oshomole has said, apart from building durable infrastructure, the APC-led administration has policies and programs aimed at improving the living standard of every average Nigerian.
So the other who agreed, Mr. President, the fact that the child of the poor who goes to school must be given at least 1 meal while in school. Mr. President, your identification with the poor is well documented. And I had the governor confessing, as a result of your policy, public school enrollment decreased by 20% in Abia State because of President Muhammadu Buhari's policies.
Abuja has dismissed a suit filed by the suspended Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onogen, seeking a stay of execution on his ongoing trial at the Code of Conduct Tribunal. The court said the nature of the charges leveled against Onogen's warrants that proceeding at the CCT continues. Reacting to the dismissal of a suit, a senior advocate of Nigeria, Olisa Abakoba, said that he wasn't surprised by the ruling.
I'm in absolute support of a lawyer, but former president of the Nigerian Bar Association and a senior advocate of Nigeria, and therefore I must support the NBA. We had a meeting of the body of benches, and I made some more specific recommendations. I said, in addition to symbolic boycotts, which sometimes don't get the effect that you want them to achieve, you say it was not full compliance. I would have wanted us to be more specific. So I think when we begin to make these people who violate our laws personally responsible, it will have more meaning than symbolic action.
Ahead of the forthcoming general elections, the United States is insisting that Nigeria cannot afford to get the exercise wrong. U.S. Ambassador to Nigeria, Stuart Simenton, who said this during his visits to the Kaduna State Commissioner of Police, stressed the importance of Nigeria's peaceful election to the rest of West Africa, adding that a free, fair election can only be achieved when all the stakeholders play according to the electoral guidelines.
These elections really are only about... They will be decided by Nigerians under Nigerian law, and they will define in part the future of Nigeria. But they're also important for others. They're important for everybody who has looked up to Nigeria's example of democracy in the past. If Nigeria derives the credit from these elections that it derived in 2015, that credit can be invested in democracy and freedom throughout the rest of West Africa, throughout Africa, and frankly throughout the world.
Elder statesman and former Commonwealth Secretary General Emeka Anyoko has asked the federal government to reconsider its stance on the call for restructuring and return to true federalism. Anyoko, who spoke at a symposium in Abuja, said that the country is underperforming and lacking national cohesion like never before, a situation he believes can only be resolved by restructuring its present governance architecture.
Our Nigerian government, like all other governments, while of course guarding its sovereignty, should pay heed to the views of the international community. Otherwise, the country will return to the pariah status which it happily exited in 1999 when it once more embraced democracy.
He called on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to ensure a credible exercise. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has promised people living with disabilities reducing the barriers they face during elections as voters, candidates, party officials and staff within the commission. The resident electoral commissioner in Abia State, Dr. Joseph Ilo, who spoke through the head voter education and publicity of INEC, Godfrey Achibie, made the promise during the interactive session with persons living with disabilities in the electoral process held in Umuahia. He restated the Commission's commitment to providing full and equal access to all citizens, irrespective of their physical condition, in the discharge of its mandate of conducting free, fair, credible, and peaceful elections. Former Governor Dr. Ojuzo Carlo has reacted to the indefinite adjournment of his alleged corruption trial by Justice Mohammed Idris of Federal High Court, Lagos. Speaking to newsmen in Aba, the former governor said he's ever ready to take his trials as long as he is fit.
I don't know why they are joined. It's only Justice Idris himself who can explain. So I'm always very willing to take my trials. So very, very willing. As long as I will go. I never dodge court. I never say I won't go to court. I'm not afraid of going to court. I like to go to court because I committed no offense. I have never seen, there's no commissioner who will say I took money with him or special advisor. There were 19 witnesses and none of them will say I did anything. And I'm very prepared. The issue is that people pushing me politically think about 2023.
News now on Flow 94.9 FM continues shortly with business, foreign and sports news. Stay with us.
You are listening to...
Join our social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Flow949FM. And now, introducing our YouTube channel, Flow 949 FM. Flow 949 FM. Watch us live as we bring you trending news.
Sources Ibeka Chukwu says every barrel of crude oil produced and exported out of Nigeria is now being tracked by the federal government in collaboration with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Kachukwu spoke at the ongoing Nigeria International Petroleum Summit in Abuja while responding to a comment made by a delegate at the summit. He said the government, through the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources, would also extend the tracking to the downstream sector. And of course, away from the shores of Nigeria, Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro, has dismissed calls for new presidential elections ahead of fresh protests against his leadership. In a show of defiance to a Russian news agency, he insisted his victory in polls last spring had been legitimate. Opposition leader Juan Guaido declared himself interim president last week, prompting an escalating power struggle. And in sports, David Oku is standing by.
Thank you very much, Chimdi. A very good evening to you all and welcome to Sports News Update. We begin from African football as the Confederation of African Football, CAF, has appointed Gambian referee Papa Bakari Gassama center referee for Sunday's Confederation Cup clash between Nigeria's Rangers International and Salitas FC of Burkina Faso. Gassama will be assisted by his countryman Abdul Aziz Bolel Yawo and Issa Yaya for the game. The Group B clash will be played at the Cathedral Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium, Enugu, and the time is 2 p.m. local time. And now to European football. Paris Saint-Germain have confirmed that Neymar will miss both legs of their Champions League last 16 tie against Manchester United through injury. The Brazilian sustained a metatarsal injury in his right foot during PSG's clash with Strasbourg in the Coupe de France round of 16 match on 23rd January, and he received a thorough examination at the club's training ground on Tuesday. Following the review, Neymar has been ruled out of action for 10 weeks, which will see him miss a crucial run of fixtures for the French champions. And finally, now to the sad story of the disappearance of footballer Emiliano Sala and pilot David Ibbotson. An underwater search for footballer Emiliano Sala's plane will take place after cushions were found on a beach. They were discovered near Soutanville on France's Cotentin Peninsula on Monday by French authorities. Following this, the Air Accidents Investigation Branch, AAIB, has identified an area of 4 square nautical miles for a search. The plane disappeared with Salah, who's 28 years of age, and pilot David Ibbotson from Crowle, North Lincolnshire, on board last week. Well, that story wraps it up in Sports News Updates. My name is David Oku. Bye for now.
Thank you very much, David, for that update. And of course, that sports news wraps it up this evening on the news. But before we go, let's take a look at our headlines. President Buhari urges Imo electorate to vote according to their conscience. Appeal Court rejects Justice Onoren's request to stop his trial over declaration of assets. INEC holds interactive session with persons living with